Brew, is your confidence in Purdy beginning to waver?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? Brock Purdy, the guy that as a rookie stared across the field and saw the GOAT, Tom Brady, and goes out and throws 2 touchdown passes and has a 134 passer.
Toe-to-toe with the GOAT.
The guy that as a rookie went 3-0 without Deebo Samuel, one of his Avengers, as Nick.
How did he do without Deebo last year?
The guy that threw for 330 plus yards and 3 touchdowns in his playoff debut as a rookie. The guy that answered, Nick, the worst stretch of his career last year. 3 straight losses, Cincinnati, Minnesota, Cleveland.
Was concussed for one of them.
Yeah.
Yes, he answered that stretch by throwing 17 touchdowns, 2 picks in the next 6 games.
Yeah.
The guy that answered the Christmas Day debacle, where he threw 4 interceptions on national TV, everybody's watching, he flies out of the MVP race, which he had been in, and he answers that by leading 2 come-from-behind victories in the playoffs to get them to the Super Bowl and walks off the field with the lead.
Yep, that's right.
That I'm supposed to not believe in him because of 2 bad practices? When that's what's on his resume? No.
Okay, so
it's going to take a lot more than that
for
me not to believe.
7 interceptions yesterday.
It was 2 bad practices.
No, I'm not even talking about the first. Listen,
7 yesterday, whatever. Yeah.
7's
too much.
7 total over the last 2 days.
Certainly 100 would be.
Right, but
that's
I'm
gotta be
asking you, because, Brew, every single thing you said was independent of how he's played in preseason. So all of your
2
evidence,
practices.
right?
Is that
so
a full preseason?
No, up to this point.
I'm
So
gonna listen.
what I'm saying is, it sounds like there is no amount of interceptions he could have thrown yesterday to make you concerned.
No, there has to.
Because all of that. Wait,
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, because he started yesterday's practice.
He was 7 of 7. I've got it. You gave the history of his career. I'll give the history of yesterday, if I may, for a moment.
If he had thrown an interception on every single pass,
okay, so there is something.
The issue is this. There's no way I'm going to overlook a 17-4 start to your career.
Yeah.
The best. Now I know he hadn't played enough games yet, but passer rating for his career of 111. The all-time best for a career, obviously much more of a sample size, Aaron Rodgers at 103.
103.6.
So that he started off to a great career. I'm not going to throw that out the window. After 2 practices, I mean, I guess if he goes out there, I don't know what he would have had to do.
If I may, maybe I shouldn't have opened the door back up, because I'm gonna go here for a second. I don't think the question is, does yesterday make you think Brock Purdy's a bum? It's beginning to waver. Is there a little bit based on the fact that this is the sequence of events as I see it? Brock Purdy talks to Mike Silver and says, I'm chasing Tom Brady. I want to.
Just to be fair, he didn't say I'm chasing Tom Brady. He said he wants to be dominant in a Tom Brady. He didn't say I'm chasing Tom Brady.
Thank you.
You're the guy who's a stickler for words, man.
Thank
He
you.
didn't say I'm chasing Tom Brady.
Okay, all right. If the audience thought I was giving a direct quote there, I apologize. I think it would have been very clear when I finished my sentence what I was doing. But regardless,
Go ahead.
this is the.
I gotta pause here real fast. I'm gonna let the clip run, but Nick is genuinely getting upset here. He was upset that Brew wasn't letting him talk. That he didn't, give his take, and that Nick now wanted to prove, or now then Wild was like, whoa, you're kind of misquoting, Purdy, which is true. There's a difference between chasing Tom Brady and saying, what he actually said. Chasing Tom Brady is saying, I'm trying to be the GOAT. That is not what Purdy said at all. And then now Nick kind of got upset and then tried to throw it back at Wild, and Wild was like, all right, whatever. So, this is like some actual real annoyance here. This isn't just kind of fun, hey, we're having a show here. This is actually like real frustration.
The sequence of events as I see it.
Go.
He gives an interview with Mike Silver where he says he wants to change the way he's playing. Sure. Again, not a direct quote, I'm paraphrasing. Where we have a lead, and instead of being careful, go for the jugular. where I took it as chasing Tom Brady being like, I want to be like Tom was. Not chasing him as for 7 Super Bowls and 3 league MVPs. I want to be more Tom Brady-ish. That interview happens. He then has a practice where he throws a hat trick of interceptions, and I show you guys the tweet from Jimmy Garoppolo's practice 5 years ago when he threw 5, and you guys were like, well, he didn't throw 5. And then yesterday, when I was gone, we find out that after starting 7 of 7, on the next 8 throws he has, 4 are picked, 2 are dropped picks, 1 is a dump off to use check, and 1 is an incompletion. So a couple drop picks away from 6 interceptions, which maybe would have made you concerned, maybe not. I don't know. So I think Brock Purdy is the most interesting player in the league this year. Because if he does try to be something he's not, which is prove to the world, I ain't no bus rider, I'm a bus driver, it'll kneecap the Niners. And if he just plays within colors inside the lines, as I think he has very well, better than Jimmy Garoppolo did for this Niners team, we are going to probably have a lot of the same debates we had last year. I'm not the only person that is concerned about this. Brew's favorite publication, Sports Illustrated, had a whole article about Brock Purdy, and I'll read you a big chunk of it because I think sometimes I'm painted as the bad guy. This is Sports Illustrated. The 49ers don't game plan for practices, and every quarterback benefits from a good game plan. During the regular season, Purdy usually has all of his elite weapons, plus his future Hall of Fame left tackle, so someone's open on every play. He just has to find the open man, deliver the ball accurately on time, which he can do. A lot of quarterbacks could do that if they played with Purdy's weapons. But Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk haven't practiced yet this offseason. So instead of having 6 All-Pros around him, Purdy has 4. Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey, and Kyle Juszczyk. And Purdy doesn't play well when he has less than 5 or 6. Doesn't play as well, thank you. As well when he has 5 or 6 All-Pros at his disposal. Makes you wonder how he'll play when the 49ers give him $60 million per season and can't afford to surround him with 6 All-Pros anymore. Again, that's not Nick Wright. That's 49ers reporter for Sports Illustrated, Grant Cohn. Now, it sounds a lot like what Nick Wright thinks, but that's from Sports Illustrated, who I know you respect because you quote him all the time, what they said.
That was an odd article because it started out like Purdy's great and he's showing everybody that, and then it did kind of go negative to your point. So it was I didn't know which way he was going because if you read it, so at the start he was talking about Purdy's proving he's great. No, hardly anybody denies that anymore. So, but no, look, if this, I don't know if this is a product of him being more aggressive. And Coach Mangini made great points yesterday. In practice, you oftentimes try to make throws that you wouldn't in a game. See what you can get away with. You're testing your receivers. Can they, are they going to make this catch if I throw it here or there? Can I get in this tight window? So a lot of times you may be taking risk that you would not take in a game. But you are right in that if he is of the mentality, I'm going to go out and be more assertive, more aggressive, then we'll see.
Yes.
High risk and definitely potentially high reward.
No doubt.
But definitely high risk too. If
Okay.
Purdy continues to.
So, this is what I want to talk about here. Because, first off, judging too much on practices, and I said this in a previous video, and a lot of people got upset about it. I have no idea why, honestly. But it's one of those things where practices, when you throw interceptions in practice as a quarterback, it's seen as kind of like a big deal. Now, it depends on the situation because you absolutely can be working on something very specifically, whether it be mechanics, whether it be timing, whether it be specific reads, whatever it may be. So it's not always a straightforward assessment. But, interceptions for a quarterback in practice like that are usually seen as, very less than ideal because it's like you're in a perfect situation. You can't get hit. You should be able to very much thrive in this. Also, not to mention in practices, a lot of times, pretty much all the time, first team will play second team. The first team offense will play the second team defense. So if you're throwing all those interceptions, you're not even throwing it against the actual starters. So is actually kind of interesting. And I don't know if actually different teams approach it differently in terms of first team and second team. So maybe that's not how the 49ers necessarily do it, but so I can't speak 100% to that. But I will say this, this idea that you're going to start to lose confidence because of what's happening in practice, I don't agree with that at all. I just wholeheartedly don't agree with that at all because, like I said, you just don't actually know what they're working on right now. You just have truly no idea. And the other idea that there's now this kind of nervousness that Purdy is now going to start to play beyond himself, there is just zero evidence for that. Zero. I mean, Purdy is so humble and has shown nothing but humility and no ego. And also high intelligence. He understands the type of quarterback he is. He understands what it takes to be successful with his team and put his team in a position to win. He knows that he wants to continue to get better. But he's very adamant, and he said this before, which they haven't talked about. He said this recently, within the last couple of days or so, that you have to trust Shanahan's system. That you have to trust the plays, and that's what he does. That's something that he does probably better than any other quarterback, is that he trusts it. So I actually disagree. I wonder if I can get it fast enough where this guy said, which he can do. Let me see. Where he says, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it in time, and I don't want to spend too much time. But essentially, what he's doing, any other quarterback can do, right? When he has all these weapons, a lot of quarterbacks, he just has to find the open man, deliver the ball accurately and on time, which he can do. A lot of quarterbacks could do that if they played with Purdy's weapons. And I just wholeheartedly disagree with that. A lot of quarterbacks will be better if they have Shanahan and Purdy's weapons. That's undeniable. Many quarterbacks would be better. If not, every single quarterback would be better. But let's just not act like every single quarterback can do what Brock Purdy can do. That's not fair. That's just absurd. I mean, under that logic, a lot of backup quarterbacks would win a lot of games and have a lot of success, and that's just not the case. It's just not fair, okay? Because they said that about Jalen Hurts and the Eagles in 22, and they throw in like Gardner Minshew, and he didn't play too well. So this idea that just because you have lots of weapons and you got a great play caller and a great defense and a great this, that you're going to throw in any old quarterback and you just hit the open man. It's hard for quarterbacks to throw the ball accurately. It's hard for quarterbacks to be on time. I wish it wasn't so, but it is. That's why there's such a big drop off. And although it's getting less and less, the better the quarterbacks, the better the quarterbacks are these days. But there's still such a big drop off. Just look at a first string and second string quarterback. Just look at a top 10 quarterback and a bottom 10 quarterback. It's night and day because of accuracy, because of being on time, because of actually being able to find the open man. Like, what are we talking about here? So it's just absurd. That's an insane statement to make. I just really, really reject that, and it's not fair. Purdy absolutely is better because of Shanahan and his weapons. There's no denying that. Patrick Mahomes would be better if he had, not better because of Shanahan, but because of all these other weapons. So yes, we can grant that Brock Purdy benefits from Shanahan and his team. But we also then have to admit that Patrick Mahomes benefits from Andy Reid, right? And we know this all to be the case because we said look at how Patrick Mahomes had a down year, and we say why did he have a down year? Because he didn't have the weapons, so therefore he wasn't as successful. Okay, so then why are we acting like Brock Purdy should be just as successful without his weapons? That's what I don't get. That doesn't make sense to me. If we're able to offer to Mahomes that his numbers are allowed to go down because he doesn't have all the weapons, then you have to offer the same thing to every other player. Well, of course, Brock Purdy won't be as good if he doesn't have all those weapons as well. If we didn't expect Patrick Mahomes to keep putting up his high-level numbers, then why are we expecting Brock Purdy? That's just not fair. So I reject that as well. Brock Purdy's still growing and learning as a quarterback. He's still He's still figuring this all out. He's also not had the luxury, if you remember, the first year he wasn't a starter, so he wasn't really going through this preseason the way he did, as well as the second time for him being he was injured, so he didn't have a preseason. So I think this is his actual first real preseason. So who knows actually what they're doing with him? I don't actually honestly know. Maybe they are working on very specific things with him. Maybe they really are trying to drill down on some mechanics, on some timing, on some power. I have no idea. And they seem to not know either. So I just think this idea that we have to kind of like freak out over a whole bunch of interceptions in practice is highly, highly unnecessary. And I think we're just kind of fishing to try to find reasons as to why Brock Purdy is not a good quarterback. I understand if people don't want to crown him as this all-time great talent, but this idea that anybody could do what Brock Purdy can do, I just disagree. And I think, again, what makes Brock Purdy actually special is his ability to find the open man and deliver the ball accurately and on time. And not every single quarterback can do that. Not at all. If anything, I would say only top 10 quarterbacks for the most part can do that. Or in the first and second tier, since I don't like to use numbers. In the first and second tiers. Anything below that. Because you know what? I don't think Baker Mayfield is always on time and throws to the open man and accurately. Okay? I don't think he does that. I don't think Derek Carr always necessarily does it. He's gone through periods of his career where he has, but other times not so. Russell Wilson, I mean, we can kind of do this all day. So I just kind of disagree with that. It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It was one of the issues with Carson Wentz. He didn't always throw the ball to the open man. He always tried to look down the field. He would never really want to check the ball down. His timing wasn't always great. His accuracy was okay. It kind of fluctuated. So it's just this, again, we can, like I said, I can just pick and choose all these quarterbacks. Some quarterbacks that have done unbelievable things, like Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate until he got injured. I wouldn't say Lamar Jackson is the most on-time quarterback. If anything, kind of what makes him special is his ability to be off-time and still make a play. So it's just interesting to me to try to minimize that and try to act like, well, listen, all he does is have to show up. And as long as he just shows up, it's simple. It's not. It's not. If it is, we'd see a lot more successful quarterbacks in the NFL. A lot more. And we just simply don't. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that, you should start to lose confidence for, in Purdy because of these interceptions and kind of what some of what this article kind of has to say? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.